Welcome to the Region of Solutions podcast, where we give you the insider's take on the impactful work and initiatives being undertaken at the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. I'm Kavita Sukanandan.
Hi, and I'm Mitch. Today is the first episode of our series, and there couldn't have been a better set of guests to kick off this project. We're diving into the world of data and statistics with our colleagues from the Statistical Institute for Asia and the Pacific. They're here to share some fascinating insights with us on why numbers matter for policymaking and shaping trends. With us today are Sokol Vako and Sinovia Moonie from the Statistical Institute for Asia and the Pacific, an ESCAP regional institution. Established in 1970, Hsieh is a professional statistics training center for government officials and others working on official statistics. In other words, Hsieh serves as a bridge between the latest advances in official statistics and their uptake by countries in the Asia-Pacific region. Sokol and Sinovia are joining us today from Chiba, Japan. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. Glad to be with you guys.
Thank you so much for joining us. Start off a little bit with an icebreaker. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey into the field of statistics and the UN? Well, how about we start with you first?
Yes, thank you very much, Kavita. And again, it's a pleasure for us to be here with you today. I joined the UN back in 2011, right after graduate school. I'm originally from Albania. I was in New York for about 8 years working in the UN Statistics Division, where I worked on environmental economic accounts as well as the Sustainable Development Goals. I had an opportunity then in 2019 to move here in the Asia-Pacific region and join Hsieh, where I'm responsible for the program of work on environment statistics.
Sinovia, how about you?
Thank you again, Kavita and Mitch, for having us as part of this first podcast. So I joined the United Nations in 2007 as a research assistant with the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. In that role, I did a lot of work within the region in statistics primarily, because I do have a great passion for numbers. I had a very enriching experience there and worked there for 10 years. I resigned in 2016, but rejoined the organization 5 years later in 2021, when I became a staff member here at Hsieh. And I've had the opportunity as a statistician lecturer to marry two of my passions, which is teaching as well as statistics.
It's great to hear about this passion and the journey that you guys have had so far. So we like to start our podcast asking all our guests the same question. What solutions are you working on for the region?
Our mandate is particularly important now because of the ever increasing demand for data and statistics to monitor international commitments such as the Sustainable Development Goals.
We very much focus on the methodological updates that are made and the new statistics that need to be collected to respond to the various policy initiatives, be that at the global level, regional level, or national level. We can take the latest updates and the latest methodology and make that more accessible to colleagues in national statistical systems so that it feeds into their decision-making processes and informs management of resources in countries.
That's great, Sokol. Share with us, if you can, maybe a couple of firsthand experiences that you've had and how the statistics influences this type of policymaking and other societal trends.
Well, data, as we know, has immense value, but it's not valuable on its own, and it's not an end in itself. The value of data increases with its use. We do provide training to national statistical offices, but we've noticed recently that there's immense value in also expanding our courses to also engage policymakers who use the data. And what we found from that experience is that these trainings bring both data users and producers together, and they are able to have a better understanding and better appreciation of the data and better integrate it into policymaking. For us, it's also surprising that most times when we bring those producers and users from countries together, the training would be the first forum where they would be meeting each other, and then that would initiate the sort of collaboration going forward. I remember when we had this last training in education statistics, some of the persons from the Ministry of Education had never interacted with persons from the National Statistical Offices. And we noted that particularly in the smaller countries, which was a little bit unusual.
You would think the opposite.
More and more, not only the policymakers, but the public at large, NGOs, the private sectors, see value in the data that is produced by the statistics office and utilize that data in their decision making. I recently worked with colleagues in the Samoa Bureau of Statistics to have a better understanding of the water situation in their country, and in particular, the water resources that are available in their country and how much people depend on the water resources. So those data pieces inform decisions around water management and the protection of water resources. So link that up with climate change and other discussions as well.
Sounds excellent, Sokol. So I think a lot of colleagues and maybe people out there are not really aware of the type of courses that SIAP offers. I think you guys work on a lot of niche topics as well when it comes to statistics and capacity building. So could you give us an overview of some of the recent courses offered by SIAP?
The scope of the courses that we offer has changed with time. Let me first talk a little bit about the approach that we take. Over the past, I would say 5 years, 10 years, with technological tools being more and more available, we not only offer face-to-face courses as we did back 40 years ago when the Institute started, but we are more and more offering courses online. This allows us to reach a wider audience in a very cost-effective manner. We also have different approaches as far as the scope of the training, in that some trainings are for the region, some trainings are actually global in scope because the technology allows us to reach audiences not only here in the Asia Pacific region, but beyond that in Africa or Latin America or Europe, depending on interest. Some of the courses are designed for subregions because certain regions face certain issues. At other times, we also organize national courses. So we are very much responsive to the needs of our constituents, which are the countries here in Asia Pacific, and the topics that we organize courses on are very much driven by the priorities that they have. We recently have done courses on refugee, internally displaced, and statelessness statistics. So these are new domains for which there has been new statistical methodology that's been approved by the UN Statistics Commission. We have done courses on climate change and the system of environmental economic accounts, which is one of the two international statistical standards that we have that informs decision-making around the economy and environment nexus. There are obviously many courses, whether it's economic domain, whether it's in the social domains. We would have to spend, 3-4 podcasts to talk about all the various courses. I would very much encourage the audience listening in to us to just visit our website to see the many courses that we have available. We have many of our courses that are self-paced online, and all of them actually are available for free. So we have courses that have been translated to better fit the needs of our different audiences. I would be remiss without mentioning also that we also focus on the soft skills. As government officials, as statisticians in our region, I think there is a need to build up capacity around user engagement, around management skills, about training of trainers so that people are empowered to actually pick up some of the trainings that SIAP has developed, and they themselves can run those trainings at the national level. That gives you, I hope, a little bit of a sense, a small introduction to some of the excellent work that has been done here in the region.
Thanks, Sokol. Yeah, first of all, I think you also have a marketing degree besides being a statistician. That's a great overview. But I wanted to pick up on your last point because I was wondering, you talk, obviously our main focus will be on the statisticians and the government officials, but how much of your constituency also includes, other stakeholders? Or if it doesn't, do you think it would be beneficial to have training for some of these other stakeholders, whether they be civil society or even private sector?
So as you correctly mentioned, our target is normally the government statisticians because they are the producers of official statistics. However, over time, we are also expanding the reach to other agencies. We also try to ensure that training is not just for the NSOs, but to the wider national statistical system, which would include other government agencies. So they are also part of our courses. And we mentioned earlier that we've also started expanding to policymakers because we think that there is a lot of value in promoting the use of data, not just the production of data and having it available. So that has expanded the reach of our courses gradually, and it has added a lot of value in terms of the impact of our courses as well.
Yeah, no, maybe I can just pick up as well on that and just highlight that we very much are interacting with people now across domains. And we encourage also, we practice what we preach, right? Because, we run courses on user engagements here. And that very much focuses on how you work with colleagues, not only in government, but beyond that. And I think issues like refugee statistics that Sinovia and I have worked together on developing the course and running that course. Many NGOs out there are very much interested in that sort of data. Sometimes they collect that data, but, maybe don't know how to bring it together in a way that can better serve the needs at the end of the day of this vulnerable population group. So we very much have had those communities come and join our courses and bring a different perspective too, because I think it's a learning experience for us as well to understand how the data that we are talking about is picked up and used by these various user communities. We also have had interactions with journalists in certain contexts as well, because it is quite important in providing information to that group. Our team here has put together a great course on data visualization, which again speaks to the need of communicating information in a way that can be picked up by these various audiences. So, the data visualization course is probably one of our most popular courses that we have had. I think probably, I would venture over 1,000 participants have taken that course over the past 2-3 years. And we keep hearing more and more demand about it because people realize the power of properly communicating through data visualization.
Yeah, no, thanks. That make a couple of great points there. I mean, I thought that perhaps a diversity of voices among the participants would be helpful, as you said, with the refugee statistics. These people who are advocates, but there's no perhaps not a strong understanding of how these statistics can be used. But then you also mentioned journalists, and of course, the journalists need to be able to report accurately and correctly, right, on the statistics. And so, sounds wonderful what you're doing. Thanks.
And on the topic of reach as well, Sokol mentioned that we offer courses at different levels. So we have the regional, sub-regional, but we also do offer lots of national courses. And for those national courses, we are able to expand the reach. So you can have a lot of data users and producers within the country attending those courses. And that also has another level of impact as well.
So I just wanted to follow up a little bit on that as well. So what would you say are some of the most in-demand courses right now or emerging issues that countries really want to improve their statistical systems to address?
Maybe let me start with that from my area. As I mentioned earlier in the introduction, Kavita, I focus on the environment space. And I think here in Asia Pacific, climate change and disaster-related statistics are a cross-cutting issue that is impacting countries from the Pacific all the way to Western Asia. So we have been running a course on climate change statistics based on the system of environmental economic accounting, an online course on an annual basis. And I think every year we get about 300 to 400 participants across not only our region, but beyond that, because these issues, again, speak to the needs that countries have for information due to the ever-changing landscape that we have. And I think it's important to also highlight here that not only do we develop these courses, but we update them and we include new methodology changes that happen over time to make sure that we, again, speak to the needs of the region as best we can. Let me pass on to Sinovia to talk a little bit about the work on the social side as well.
Maybe I could just come in first and say that you may be wondering, how do we know, because we say our courses are demand driven, how do we know what countries really need? Annually, we do this training needs survey, which is administered to all of the countries, and we identify some of the courses that we already have in our bank. And we also ask them to tell us which ones are their priorities. And then based on that sort of prioritization, we are then able to determine which courses we deliver during a particular year. So that I think is an important point to note. Also, our courses are aligned with the mandates of our regional partners, because we alone do not deliver all of those courses. We do a lot of our work in partnership with other agencies within the UN, so UN Women, ESCAP, SD, and other units and divisions within ESCAP, the World Bank, the World Health Organization. We also do it with other regional agencies like ADB, the Pacific Community, SPC. So there is this sort of broad reach in terms of the partnerships, and which really help us in making sure that those priorities are also reflected in the scope of our courses. On the social side, one of the areas that seems to be recurring more and more is for training in gender statistics. So we have offered multiple trainings in that area. It also happens to be one of the SDGs that we're lagging behind in most. So that continues to be a priority for countries. There's also a lot of demand for courses that look at statistical leadership. And so that is also one of the priority areas that we address as well here at Hsieh.
Thanks so much, Sinovia and Sokol, for that explanation. So Hsieh obviously has had a long history. It's been in operation for 54 years, and it sounds like it has greatly evolved through the decades. Could you perhaps share some success stories that Hsieh has had in the region?
As one of my colleagues here, Christoph, mentioned to me earlier today, we haven't been here for the past 54 years that the Institute has been around. So that sort of puts it in perspective how long the Institute has been supporting the countries in the region and providing that venue for folks to come together and learn more about statistics. We are a very small office here at Hsieh. We're only 10 people, but I think our reputation is quite renowned. And I'm always surprised when I go to countries and how many people have participated in our trainings, whether it's in person or online. I think, one of the things that always strikes me, and I'll just highlight this with a couple of examples, because I was recently on mission in Bangladesh to discuss some of the environmental economic accounts work that's going on there, as well as in Vanuatu for training on climate change. And in both cases, in both countries, I had multiple senior level managers come and talk to me and, share their experiences, Hsieh students, where they came here in Chiba maybe 20, 30 years ago when they were young statisticians just starting their careers, and having either some of these short-term courses that we have here, which are week-long, or some of the longer courses, which can run up to 3 months, where colleagues come here for a longer stay to get exposed to multiple domains of statistics. So I think one of these long-term success stories that we can share, how many of the colleagues in the region here that are now in senior management positions in national statistical, not only offices, but national statistical systems, have participated in trainings here at Hsieh and viewed that as a very much a building block to their career progression. And how much now they're requesting actually that their staff can also join trainings here at Hsieh because of their great experience that they have. And we run this long-term course called The Theory and Practice of Official Statistics for Sustainable Development Goals every year. It's about 3 months long, and we'll actually start the next round of the course in August. So we're very much looking forward to the next batch of future senior statisticians, senior leaders to join us here in Hsieh. I think other success stories very much linked to the production of data. We have had over a dozen countries in the region, colleagues participate in our courses on energy, on water, on ecosystems. And then they have gone back to their countries and actually started work. And some of them have already published information and data around energy supply news or water resources or the conditions of ecosystems in their countries. The success, I think, that the way that we view it, how far the data goes, in the sense that when is it picked up by users, not only in government, but more broadly. I think it's always nice when you pick up the newspaper or you turn on the TV when you are on mission, and then there is maybe a short article or a short news story on the statistics that you worked with in colleagues and NSOs. And seeing that uptake is very, very impressive. The other thing that I wanted to mention is facilitation of networks that we have. Colleagues, again, have gone to trainings here, and those relationships last throughout their careers. So they'll be in touch with one another for questions that they have, to share experiences. So facilitating that, peer-to-peer learning, the South-to-South collaboration is very much on the forefront of our mind. And I mean, overall, having obviously this increased availability of data, quality data, is part of the long-term success of the Institute. With our role being a place where knowledge is shared, knowledge is exchanged, knowledge is picked up, I think we very much serve that niche and serve that niche very well. The work that we're doing now is just one block. The next generation will pick up on that and build upon it. And the future is very bright for the institution. I think we have a lot of work ahead because the demands will continue to grow.
All right. Well, thank you very much, colleagues. That brings us to the end of our conversation today. We really appreciate you sharing these great insights, and the enthusiasm you have for your work really comes through. It's a very, very positive thing, a nice thing to see.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, both Kavita and Mitch, for the time as well. Go to our website. We are easily found through either the main ESCAP webpage or by just going to one of the search engines, Googling us. All of our online courses actually are available for free to users. You don't have to be a statistician. You actually don't have to be somebody who works in government. If you're just interested to learn more about the topics, please go ahead, register, read as much as you want, pick up the topics that you like to be informed about, and have at it.
Thank you for that. I think we'll check that out.
That's all for today's episode of Region of Solutions. A big thank you to our guests Sokol and Sinovia from Hsieh for sharing their expertise with us.
And of course, don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to this podcast for more inspiring stories from around ESCAP, because we will be back.
And until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and be part of the solution for our region. Have a good day, everyone.